While managing a child psychiatry clinic, Preeti realized that children and adolescents, besides psychological interventions, require a scaffolding support through their growing years. As she explored solutions towards this, she reflected how her own meditation and mindfulness practices had helped her, and that inspired her to set off on a path to teach these techniques and practices to parents, primary caregivers, and teachers.
Hello and welcome, Preeti. Thank you for participating in this health awareness creation on Ruminate.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me. That's a great question to start with. Mindfulness is a present moment awareness in the shortest form, right? So as we are having this conversation, you and I, the only real-time experience you're having is of talking, hearing, and seeing as a sensory system. Everything else, I'm a mindfulness coach, Hina is a host, etc., is a thought, right? So right now, the real-time experiences are all sensory and they're happening moment by moment by moment. And most of the time, we are checked out from this moment. We are either ruminating about the past or worrying about the future, both of which are at a thought level. The real life experience is happening here and now. Mindfulness is ideally a way of life. It is for kids, for adults, for everyone. It is not limited. It's for all humans, right? When we say mindfulness as present moment awareness, it is an umbrella term. How can you maintain awareness in the present moment? You can maintain it even while washing dishes. You can maintain it even while doing jhadu. You can maintain it even while being stern with your child, right? Where you are aware about, are you functioning optimally? Are you functioning in the best possible manner that you can? That's the idea. Now, with meditation, you are doing a seated practice, which acts as a tool to support your mindfulness during daily life. You're bringing your mind back again and again to the present moment when you're sitting in meditation. Now, with children, meditation might get a little difficult. You can get them to sit for a few minutes. One of the easiest ways to practice mindfulness that is available to us 24/7 is your breath. Just anchoring into the breath a few times a day helps you come back to the present moment, right? So, and this children can do it beautifully. You just ask them to take a few slow, deep breaths, ask them to breathe in like they're smelling a flower. And you can try it with me if you like. Just deeply breathe in like you're smelling a flower and slowly blow out through your mouth like you're blowing a candle. Ask children to repeat this a few times and they will be actually able to use it during times of stress with reminder. Of course, you can't ask them to do deep breathing during times of stress unless they are able to do it during mundane and normal times. That's why these practices like meditation, yoga, chanting, etc. become important, because in day-to-day life, you need to practice it to be able to use it in, say, a higher risk situation, like when we lose our emotional control or when we become dysfunctional in terms of what we're saying and how we are reacting and responding. See, to be very honest, physical and mental health, as you mentioned, they go hand in hand. You can't be like, okay, I'm not going to take care of my physical health. I'm only going to sit and meditate 24/7. That will also not be helpful. One example I love to use for people is, at any point, if you actually reflect, brushing is something to us that is a non-negotiable activity that we do for physical hygiene. We don't even think twice about brushing. But I'm sure there were times centuries ago, or multiple years ago, when brushing wasn't even a thing. But it was inculcated as a habit, as a hygiene habit in some ways, right? Similarly, bathing. There are people who bathe twice a day. There are people, I mean, all of us bathe at least once a day. So that again becomes a part of physical hygiene. So like physical hygiene, we also need to maintain mental hygiene. Why is it okay that you have to clean your house, clean your room, clean your head, clean your house, clean your room, and even maintain physical hygiene, clean yourself. But why is it okay to ruminate on negative thoughts and keep collecting them and piling onto them? Why aren't we actually considering that even mental hygiene, that clearing out certain things that are not serving us is helpful? Right? So mental health and physical health actually go hand in hand. There have been multiple research studies that have shown that mindfulness helps with reduction of stress. Stress not only shows up as a mental health concern, but it is very physical in nature. So when you're stressed, there are certain hormones released in the body like cortisol, which end up leading to increased heart rate, increased breath, dilation of pupils, dilation of blood vessels, and all these things. So all of that actually, it always goes together. So if you're working on mindfulness, if you're reducing your stress from a mental aspect, you're also physically regulating yourself. You're regulating your heartbeat, you're regulating your blood pressure, and all those things also tend to happen. One is, it also helps with depression and anxiety. When I say that, we need to address it with caution, because it's a complementary modality. It cannot replace psychotherapy, right? It helps with your general idea of well-being. So once you're more aware about yourself, you're more in the present moment, you want to live a better life. And what are the things you can do to live a better life, which are not external in nature? Not the car, not the house, not the this thing. It's your physical health and your mental health. You want to take care of them. You take more responsibility and accountability to taking care of them. So that's what happens when you start practicing mindfulness. Your physical and mental health go hand in hand. Yeah, yeah. So, see, from the very Eastern perspective, mindfulness per se, you will not hear so much. It will be more of meditation, right? Mostly culturally, traditionally, we have believed that if you spend a large amount of time meditating, there is a spillover of that silent practice, diving within, which happens during the day. But however, considering people don't have that kind of time these days, where most people don't sit for 10 minutes, so half an hour and 1 hour is a little too much to expect. There are Western people who have developed systems of mindfulness, which can be used where you do a few minutes of practice over the period of the day, or you can choose to do a formal practice at one point in the day and use these small bursts of practice. That is also a possibility. Now, what I would recommend for people is just start with watching your breath. Start with just watching your breath. Start doing it 5 minutes a day. See, most of the time we are seeking out programs over programs and courses over courses. And sometimes the idea is you can find multiple courses, right? You will go through the course. The idea here is about how do you implement it. And that's what I find the biggest gap in mindfulness or like meditation, this particular area, is that there's no dearth of information. You go on YouTube, you'll find probably a lakh videos. There are multiple apps like Calm, Insight Timer, Bright Mind. There are so many apps that are available. Then why aren't people practicing? Right? The reason is that one, maintaining a consistent practice requires effort, and two, there is no tangibility. Unlike even physical health, like if you go to a gym, day one you lift the dumbbells, you're not going to build your muscles. It requires some amount of consistent practice for you to start seeing results. So begin your day by just staying with your breath at least for 3 to 5 minutes. You can pick a video from YouTube, any video that you like. There are structured programs which provide an 8-week or 12-week support for you through the program, where they teach you different techniques. Technique for stress reduction, technique for just being with your body, technique for showing self-compassion to yourself. Loving kindness to yourself and to others. So there are different programs available. If you'd like to go through a structured program for 8 weeks to build your practice, you can reach out to any mindfulness coach or anyone who's providing this. Even the traditional systems like the AOL, Sri Ravi Shankar's system, Isha Foundation, all these places also do provide meditation programs. But ultimately, it's about the sensibility, what people, feel resonate with. Sometimes when things are too structured and religious, people feel a little restricted towards going towards them. So then you pick a secular program. pick like Headspace is a great app. It's also available on Netflix. You can just turn on, it's as good as watching Netflix. So it comes on Netflix. So Headspace meditations are available on Netflix. And of course, there are multiple other things you can do. But the key is start with something that is something you can sustain. What people end up doing is you have lofty goals. You want to meditate for 1 hour and you just feel, okay, when I retire, I'll start doing it. So I work with people who are 60 and above also, and they've retired, but still they don't have the time, right? So one thing I figure is we're never going to have the time. So between the time that we have, we need to find, how to actually be able to do it. And start small. Start with 5 minutes, start with 7 minutes. A day that is super busy, it's okay. Try taking 3 breaths. You don't have time at all. Try taking as many 3 breaths possible. Any which way you're breathing through the day. So the only thing what you do when you're doing mindful breathing is you're bringing your complete attention to your breath and you're staying with it for those 2 or 3 breaths. And you're doing it very slowly and deliberately, which regulates your body. In case you are stressed out or in case you're worked up, it just brings your mind back again and again and again. And when you're in a high stress situation, what does the mind do? It says, okay, time to go back. But for that to happen, you have to practice it on and on and on. That's the key.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Preeti, can we say that mindfulness and meditation are like synonyms?
As I said, meditation is a tool. It requires silence. It requires a place to sit or walk or whatever. It is largely done in silence. And meditation requires you to have 100% attention on the practice, right? You're only doing the practice. Mindfulness, you can do it as we are speaking. I can do a mindfulness practice. I can ground myself. In case I'm feeling nervous, in case I'm feeling anxious, I can do a mindfulness practice. Right? I can be engaged 80% in some activity and I can still be practicing. That is mindfulness. Meditation is the core because you need to have that set aside time where you're completely bringing your mind back again and again and again. That is very important for bringing mindfulness in your daily life. In many systems, they use it synonymously. In many systems, they also, I've heard of mindfulness meditations. The term of mindfulness meditations, mindful meditations. So ultimately, it's about what kind of definition a system gives. So in the system I have learned, it's very clear that we use it more so in terms of meditation is like a tool, and mindfulness is what you do through the day, including in meditation, where you keep coming back. That's the idea of it.
Okay. So, Preeti, these days the common concern of many parents is that now the schools are opening. Children are going back to their normal routine life.
Yes.
Getting up early, catching the bus,
Yes.
eating out of their tiffins, right? So, what suggestions will you give to parents to help their children to go back to their normal routine? Because till now they were sitting inside their homes at one place, virtually doing their classes. Mama was bringing food on the table, right?
Yes.
Especially small children will have a lot of transition, especially those children who are going to the school for the first time.
Yeah.
So, any suggestions or tips that you would like to give to parents or children to cope with this?
I don't think just children. I think it's across, right? Even for us as adults, it's a transition. For us, even adults, to get back to work, you're used to see the human brain is, we are a creature of habits. Okay, we like our routines, we like life to be a certain way. So it is a transition, definitely, and it can be a challenging transition, especially for some children who have strong separation anxiety. There might be certain issues that show up at a school end where children develop some psychosomatic issues where they're complaining of a stomach ache, headache, vomiting, etc. at the school level. But it's, you just need to stay with it for a period of time. And of course, if it is unmanageable, the child is severely weeping or not consolable, the school counselor and the parents can take a call if they need external support of a psychologist, and take the support of the psychologist or psychiatrist if required. But having said that, largely all children, all humans are going to have an issue with this transition, right? It is going to be difficult because it's a different way of life, especially for kids who have started off on online school. Just sitting in the classroom will be an issue. Half the time they're going to be running around, because at home they're used to doing that. You go to the kitchen, get something, come back, play on the side, watch YouTube, play Minecraft, and all that has been going on. Suddenly, to get them in a structured setting and to get them to comply is not going to be easy. But having said that, it's a matter of time. It's systematically they need to be introduced. Again, I would recommend not giving so much focus on the academics, but focusing on their socio-emotional skills rebuilding, because these children have missed 2 valuable years of social skills that they could have built, especially during the precious child development years, which they have lost. So for them, just reintegrating in a group, being able to take no for an answer in a classroom, being able to take that, okay, my friend wins sometimes, right? I don't get to win every time, because at home, what is the thing when we play board games? Oh, poor child, let the child win. At home, they used to getting everything that they want. So for these children, these kind of transitions, for some, might be more difficult to handle than others based on their coping styles. But having said that, it's a period of time. So my recommendation is the child is not writing, child is not doing it. Gradually introduce the child to these activities, but don't be so hard pressed on the academic, aspect of, especially for younger grades, right? Of course, grade 10, you can't say don't be focused on the academic aspects. For younger grades, definitely that should not be the key focus. The key focus is, are they making friends? Are they able to adjust well in the class? Are they sitting during the class hours? Are they complying with what the teacher is saying? Now, again, day one, it's not going to happen. So you need to be in constant touch with the teacher. One of the key rules that I feel that any parent should follow is be in touch with the teacher, communicate, have open door communication. Don't be afraid, because ultimately the teacher and the school is also wanting to support the child. Right. And for parents, I would say regulate yourself first, because I think we as parents get very anxious. We feel our children are a reflection of how we are bringing them up, how I am as a mother or father. And children do stuff which, is embarrassing. They'll go tell the teacher, my mom is always busy, she's never there for me. And it is embarrassing, but they're children, right? So we need to learn to regulate ourselves and be calm. It's okay. The child is crying to go to school, is refusing to go to school. Gradually sensitize the child. Take the help of a school counselor. Start with at least half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hours. Gradually introduce the child. Don't ever hit a child, because that's not going to help. Right? Physical abuse is not the answer. Emotional abuse is not the answer. So there are children, they're very precious, they're delicate. So let's treat them that way, and using some mindfulness practices for yourself. When you are getting triggered, do you understand when you are getting triggered? What is happening within your system? Are you yelling at this child, or are you going to hit the child? Can you take 3 deep breaths? Stop is a great way. Stop is stop, take a breath, observe, proceed. So put a stop sign somewhere, wherever you can see it. So you can just remember that, just take a breath. It's okay. It's one day in the lifetime of this child. Somewhere I feel we view life so much as, we magnify things as they're happening, but sometimes it's not. It's okay. The child didn't listen to the class teacher. Okay, how can we work? So a problem-solving approach is what is more needed, rather than a ruminating approach, or being like, okay, we need to fix this now. It's not about fixing the child. It's about integrating the child. That's what I would recommend. Yes, before we leave, in fact, something I would highly recommend for parents and to also do with children is a gratitude practice. It seems like a very tiny practice. It seems for some people very fake, very cognitive, because we think, I worked hard for these clothes, why should I thank for these clothes? Makes no sense to some people. But research shows that practicing gratitude, expressing gratitude, not even going and saying thank you to somebody, but feelings of or emotions of gratitude do trigger mood stabilizing hormones in our brain. serotonin and dopamine, right? So even taking 5 minutes out before bedtime with your child to list out all the good things that are happening in their life, for all the good things that are happening in your life, how does it help? One, you are again and again putting this into your brain. So the brain tends to store negative experiences because it wants to protect us. So you're trying to deliberately also store positive experiences by revisiting it at the end of the day. So it helps you with memory building. Secondly, it also helps you with triggering your hormones. And thirdly, during times of distress, when things are going wrong, this part of you comes out and says that, 20 things are going wrong, but I have a family that's loving. I have parents who totally are there for me. I have financial support. I have these things. So it counterbalances the negativity. Otherwise, what happens? The negative goes, everything is going wrong, is always the case. We don't see the number of things that are going right. So gratitude practice is a great way. Even during meal times, getting children to reflect on, where did the meal come from? The kid would say, the kitchen. How did it reach the kitchen? Grocery store. How did it reach the grocery store? A trucker got it to the grocery store. But how did the trucker get it? It was from the farm. And how did the farmer get it? Probably he sowed seeds. And how did the seed come? Probably previous seeds. And you just realize for every meal to come on your table is a miracle. There are so many farmers, so many people involved in bringing a meal to your table. I mean, I hear people talking about making an impact. And I think teaching children that eating healthy meals, eating a fresh food every day, you're impacting so many lives along the process. And you have so many people to be grateful for this food that you're eating. It's not just dad who earns money. It's not, or dad or mom, I mean, it's not just about giving money and receiving. It's also, there's an entire process that goes behind each meal that we eat. So these can be simple things that we can start practicing with kids that get them to value things that are there for them in their life. I hope it helps.
Yes, that's a very important lesson that at least I'm going to follow from today. Express gratitude, and I hope all the viewers watching us will surely follow this lesson too.
Thank
Thanks
you
a
so
lot.
much, Hina. Thank you.